It's Tuesday and you're watching FreightWaves Now. I'm your host Anthony Smith, and coming up, we're going to go back to Zach Strickland with a carrier update brought to you by Powerfleet. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, and welcome to your Tuesday carrier update presented by Powerfleet. I'm Zach Strickland, and we're looking at our tender rejection index. Now, we did expect our tender rejection index to skyrocket this week. It has jumped up quite a bit, but it hasn't quite reached that, high level of, 30% threshold that we're really targeting here this week. That probably won't happen for a little while, especially as we enter the Thanksgiving holiday. Shippers are obviously very aware that capacity is extremely tight. And if you have not already booked your freight for the next couple of days, the chances of you getting some sort of coverage without an extreme premium on that are very low at this point in time. So 28.82%, 32% tender rejection rate right now. We had a little bit of an increase. We're incrementally increasing every single day. Believe it or not, we do expect this to kind of fall back a little bit here as we enter the Thanksgiving holiday, because a lot of that freight isn't necessarily being tendered for that day. It's being tendered for next week. So a lot of drivers will get back on the road and carriers will begin to get back into operation as we climb out of the Thanksgiving break holiday. And again, they will be pretty excited to get on the road, probably to take advantage of what has been an extremely tight market with high spot market rates, which will continue to be high after the break, and they're going to want to take advantage of that as much as possible. So a lot of the tender rejections are going to come down a little bit starting next week, more than likely. So looking at what's driving freight volumes right now, we've seen this shift in dynamic of length of haul. So looking at our average outbound length of haul over the past several years, you can see this big blue mountain right here is actually what we've seen in our average length of haul this year. You look at the previous 2 years, it's pretty predictable. You can see the length of haul expands in September and into October, maybe hanging around in November a little bit. And then it kind of regulates and comes back down through most of the year. But this year, we had a huge jump in the average length of haul starting back in August. And again, this is due to the fact that we see more freight originating on the West Coast. West Coast tends to have higher average lengths of haul. So this definitely has contributed to the increased tightness in the market so far this year, because it's much more difficult to manage a freight network that's moving loads on average of 1,000 miles versus ones that are moving 450 to 500 miles, which we see on the East Coast a lot more often because population density, distribution center to fulfillment center to retail storefront, etc. Again, a lot of this is replenishment freight coming out of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. And that's starting to come back down, though, as we enter the holiday period. So you can see we've dropped back down from about 650, peaking out around 650 around Labor Day when we had that huge surge of Los Angeles freight. And it's come back down to about 615 as we speak. And that is because we're starting to see a lot more of that store freight moving across the country. You can see that illustrated here in our outbound tender market share tree map. Anything you can see, this is a month over month change in those markets. So for instance, Ontario, California, 7.1% increase in overall tender market share value, 4.7% of the loads originating in the United States right now coming out of Ontario. But you see down here, Los Angeles, 7.7% down, decrease in overall market share value. Not as much long haul freight there, but we see that Atlanta, Harrisburg, 10.2% up month over month in terms of overall market share. These two markets definitely have a shorter length of haul. Allentown, Pennsylvania, shorter length of haul. Joliet, Elizabeth, New Jersey, coming down along with Chicago, along with Los Angeles, but Joliet has a longer length of haul on average than a lot of those other markets. So again, you can see that East Coast preference starting to show up here in our tender market share value. Looking at our outbound tender volume index, you can see that Atlanta has increased as well, along with Harrisburg here in the purple line, both of those volumes shooting up. And out down here in the blue, that's Los Angeles. Los Angeles outbound tender volumes actually came down a little bit this month and have started to flatten out significantly. And you can see over there on the other chart, the average length of haul for Los Angeles right now about 930, the other two around 450 and just over 600 miles per load. So a lot of that short haul freight on the East Coast is driving the market as we get closer to the holiday. And that'll do it for today's Carrier Update.
The comprehensive logistics offerings from PowerFleet cover in-cab ELD, fleet management, trailer tracking, cargo monitoring, and tracking other assets such as chassis and intermodal containers. Power up your operations with PowerFleet.
And that's going to do it for this Tuesday edition of FreightWaves Now. But as always, you can check out all of our content on all your favorite streaming apps, including Apple TV. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.